Hello, this is Manny Pham from Developing Telecoms. Today I'm speaking to Apostolos Kallis, who is the Chief Commercial Officer at Etiya. We will be discussing why operators must enact a digital transformation strategy and how to overcome the challenges that come from such an expansive journey. So, Apostolos, thank you for enlightening us on today's call. I want to kick off by highlighting how there have been a lot of discussions on digital transformations in the mobile industry in the last decade or so. But why is it so important for CSPs to embark on a digital transformation journey?
Yeah, thank you, Manny, and thank you for having me today. Um, well, first of all, digital transformation is, I think it's reached a level of maturity now, which is, it was the AI of the times, 10 years ago. Every single company, every single operator was talking about digital transformation. And I would say the majority of telecom operators have started some form of digital transformation. The reality is that there is so much competition that's entering the market from, all sorts of different directions. And both customers and employees of telcos are expecting more modern, more digitally driven experiences, which is something they've grown used to through the proliferation of apps like Uber and Amazon. And so, telcos need to be, in a position to, have the speed and ease to give customers what they want, to interact with customers in a very personalized way, and to be able to sort of help and support issues in real time. And the reality is that today it takes service providers too long to launch new products, to onboard new partners, to offer new services. And it also costs them a lot to deliver and serve customers in line with these new demands. And so, one of the main reasons for that is because the cost of running and maintaining the legacy IT systems that most telcos rely on is significant. And, as service providers have started modernizing their networks, you've got this rollout of 5G or fiber in most countries. They need to get their best return on what's typically a huge investment that's required. And they do that by defending their market share and their share of their, the share of their customers' wallets. So these are the main reasons why service providers need to embark on some form of digital transformation. On the one hand, it's to make sure that they can retain and grow their customer base. And it's also in line with transforming the legacy IT systems that they rely on to be able to deliver customer experiences in line with expectations.
Hmm. All right, excellent. You were talking a lot there about customer expectations, new services that they demand and require. We're seeing like both the market and consumer requirements are changing constantly. You're right, even from year to year, which makes it even more difficult for telcos to set the right objectives, define the appropriate system requirements there. So maybe what looks adequate in one year will become less relevant or even outdated in 2 to 3 years' time. How do these operators solve these challenges?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, actually, that, things are moving at such a pace and there are new competitive forces that are entering the market. You've got all sorts of big brands now that are launching telco services. You've got, the entry of eSIM players into the market. So there's competition that's forcing traditional telcos to adapt and react and, to a new reality. So I go back to my earlier point, which is, the ability to launch new products and services quickly, to onboard new partners and collaborate with a broader ecosystem. This is really integral to the success and and the ability that telcos have to retain customers. Um,
Mhm.
it's also a lot about the customer experience. Digital savvy customers today expect truly personalized experience across different channels, and they expect their telco operator to be proactive in terms of what sort of offers they serve, how they manage queries, how quickly they respond to changing needs in the market. So there needs to be a sort of a level of intelligent automation that is built in with minimal manual intervention, and this concept of getting things right first time. At the same time, they need to, dramatically lower the cost of delivering and serving customers, and addressing the overall operational cost of managing customers in a very digital first way. This will allow telcos over time to offer great products and services at competitive prices whilst maintaining the margin as well.
All right, excellent, excellent. Yeah, indeed, affordability is a major issue for all operators at the moment, considering the flatlining revenues. Um, what also helps is adopting the right technology to really get themselves through such a transformation journey. So, can you tell us which technologies CSPs need, and what are the main features that they're looking for when selecting the right software for the digital transformation journey?
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm a bit biased when it comes to that question. Etiya is a BSS provider, one of the largest independent BSS providers still in the market. And if I'm brutally honest, if I go back 15 years, the way that OSS and BSS providers position themselves hasn't really changed, right? The main underlying feature that I think is necessary is flexibility. Okay, so as with any IT system, it needs to be open, it needs to be modular, there needs to be flexibility built in, and ultimately, what we're looking for is future-proof, so that if a service provider invests in a BSS, it needs to be something that can hold the test of time. So the reality is that many of the telecom operators that we speak to today are still sitting on monolith legacy BSS systems, where even the smallest modifications, will break down the entire system, and they require a huge amount of investment and planning. And then you've got other companies that are working with a variety of different systems. A lot of telcos grew through acquisitions, which means they ended up with a spaghetti of different systems that they acquired, and very often those systems don't really talk to each other. So one of the solutions is to work with industry-wide accepted standards like the TM Forum's Open Digital Architecture, which allows companies to have the modularity and flexibility and scalability, which is true in things like microservices. So Etiya has been a very strong supporter and contributor to these standards, and we've been participating in organizations like the TM Forum in a very active way since the company's founding. And we firmly believe that it's something that helps both the service providers and the suppliers forge forward and bring the industry closer together and aligned. So our digital BSS is built in line with the ODA, the Open Digital Architecture principles, meaning that, the individual modules are easy to integrate, they're flexible, and they can communicate and work with other systems that a telco operator may have in place. This kind of rapid integration is what allows the onboarding of new partners to happen fast, and it's also what opens up new revenue streams and monetization opportunities. So it allows our customers to satisfy new customer demands and be ahead of the competition.
All right. You touched on the ODA there, Open Digital Architecture. It's the overall framework that establishes the basic rules of how a software architecture is built. And if all players apply these rules, then integration becomes much easier and quicker. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about microservices. Microservices essentially enable application developers and owners to move away from monolithic stacks that I described earlier to a service-oriented, flexible architecture. So they provide more flexibility by adding or extending functionalities, or they can remedy arising issues with software without the need to shut down entire systems. I'd say there are three key benefits for service providers in sort of adopting the ODA principles. One of those is system scalability, which is really important because it allows for moving from sort of natural pattern of fluctuation in the business and sort of seasonality like promotions. But it's also important as a feature because it allows them to remain future proof. It gives you flexibility in your development, which means that individual services can be modified and deployed without the need for updates or system shutdowns. And this is extremely beneficial for business continuity purposes. And finally, and most importantly, speed, because it means that you can add new features, you can modify existing features, you can update individual microservices, and again, not have to touch the entire system. And this considerably accelerates your time to market and your efficiency as a business. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Etiya digital BSS is microservices based. It means we have an open architecture. It means that our customers can enjoy all of the benefits and the profit from this new way of working.
All right, excellent. Thank you for that. And I'd like to ask you now, can you give us some examples of where Etiya has already seen these ingredients in delivering successful business growth for CSPs and other companies?
So one example which we've actually sort of featured in the TM Forum, and it also won the Solution Excellence Award a few years back at the TM Forum conference, is an MVNO in Canada called Fizz. And when Etiya started to work with Fizz, it was a brand new digital MVNO with a very clear brand strategy. And we deployed our digital BSS, and that gave Fizz the ability to very rapidly set up its business, to launch new products and services, and deliver a very differentiated customer experience to what most of the customers across Canada were used to. And, Fizz has been so successful in Quebec that they're now expanding nationally across Canada, and they have sights on even growing internationally outside Canada. This has all been successful, and it's all been possible through the underlying digital BSS that's in place, and that has allowed Fizz to move very, very quickly. Another recent example is that we can state as one of our customers is with electric cars, electric vehicles. In this case, with a provider called TOG in Turkey, we used our proven telco BSS knowledge and our capabilities in creating new brand experiences and having a sort of open, modular, personalized approach to experience, to customer experience, to apply that to a different industry, which in this case was the automotive industry. And what TOG is doing is basically through an app that they call True More. It's launching an entire mobility ecosystem. And the ability to launch that is vital. And at the core of that is its ability to set up new partnerships, to add new functionalities quickly. So through the TrueMore app, which is powered by our digital BSS, customers can do everything from applying for a loan for a new car, to actually setting up the payment plan for the new car, to managing in-car experiences. So it truly brings the entire automotive ecosystem together. Now, in both of the examples I cited, both with the Fizz MVNO in Canada, as well as the TOG electric vehicle manufacturer in Turkey, neither of these companies had a crystal ball with which they could see the future. They had to plan to underpin their business and operations with systems that would give them that greater visibility and improved performance. And this is where I think having a truly open, modular, microservices-driven BSS can make a big difference. And this is a role that we, as Etiya, are playing in the market today.
All right. Fantastic. That was a comprehensive dive into why CSPs need to embark on their digital transformation journey to prevent themselves from being basically left behind and chase new opportunities. Thank you so much, Apostolos.
Thank you for your time, Manny. I appreciate it.